Hey guys, welcome back to 59 Gaming. Thank you so much for all the continued support that you guys have been giving the channel. It has been a wonderful time being here. Today we have a very special guest. We have one of the core members that we have the pleasure of speaking to today. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Ohayou gozaimasu. This is Tallen from Japan. What's going on, guys?
Well, thank you so much for coming on, man. And that was a great intro. So today, just like all the other interviews, I just have a couple of questions for you. One thing that I've been wanting to know myself is, what is your favorite gaming franchise as of right now?
Oh, hit me with the big, awesome questions. Let's see. Favorite gaming franchise. I mean, as a kid, I grew up with the usual Mario, Smash Brothers, Kingdom Hearts, all that stuff. I guess my absolute favorite, no matter what, I'm gonna keep playing it, is probably actually first-person shooters. I've really been into Battlefield, Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, which might shock a lot of people, but if you've ever caught my Twitch streams, I actually still stream Battlefield 4 to this day sometimes. Unfortunately, the last couple games have not been up to my liking, but I'm hoping. I've got a hope that for the next one to come out, and I think it's 2021, but with the pandemic and everything, probably 2022. I'm hoping they go back to their roots, and I hope it's going to be a fun game. But generally, I play a lot of different games. I think almost anyone will. But I grew up with in the 90s gaming days, Game Boy Colors and all that. But yeah, I would definitely say first-person shooters with Battlefield is probably my bread and butter to always go to.
Very cool. No, I actually didn't know that, and those games are fantastic. So you mentioned the 90s, so I'm sure you grew up with Pokemon Red and Blue.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah, awesome. So the next question is going to be more towards your channel. So we're all playing Dokkan or Legends. What actually brought you to the game in the beginning?
So what a lot of people probably don't know is that I was actually a global player at first. Okay. Yeah, so Dokkan had just been released on the global iTunes store, or I guess the US iTunes store, because that's where I'm from. I'm from the US, and I didn't really know what was going on in the game. I typically skipped all the intros and everything. I just popped the bubbles and I did the quests, and I was like, oh, here's some banner of featured SRs and this one featured SSR maybe, and I was just like, oh, it's I don't know, it's not really that fun to me, I guess. And I actually deleted it. And then where was I? I was on the train coming home down in Osaka, actually. And on the monitor on the trains was a commercial for Dokkan, but it was advertising it in Japanese. And when I went and looked at my Japanese iTunes account and found Dokkan on there, it was showing it was back when Super Saiyan God Goku, the STR one, was originally releasing. Where SSJ2 Physical Gohan was also releasing on the same banners and everything, and I was just like, whoa, dude, this version's got way more stuff than the other version. And so I re-downloaded it again and I started playing it, and it actually did help me with understanding certain Japanese kanji and everything, since I just moved to Japan less than a year at that time. And yeah, that's kind of how I got started with the game. In terms of the channel, though, I just saw very few posts on Reddit and YouTube videos about people trying to understand what the Japanese was. And I was like, that's not exactly correct. So I figured I would just make a couple of videos here and there to kind of explain what the Japanese was, and it kind of took off, actually. So
yeah, and I mean, I've been reading your translations for the last couple years, actually. So yeah, I mean, you definitely took off with that. And thank you so much for helping out the community with that. I mean, you and Garesh both have really made a lot of our lives a lot easier, I gotta say. Definitely. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's always been fun, being able to translate the Japanese and everything. The only downside sometimes is that I've actually been at work when the data files have been released, so I'm like, I can't translate it. Gresh, take it away, buddy. Just go with it.
Yeah, I want to
So
say a big 80% of the time, I think you're at work when that
yeah,
happens.
unfortunately, if it's been a 5 p.m. release, which more recently they have been doing those Twitter reveals first before the data downloads. Those ones I can generally do, but anytime it's been at work, I'm like, yeah, Gresh, buddy, it's all you, man. So
Yeah, I get that, man. I get that. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So again, you are one of the core members, and what are some of your career goals or long-term goals with this project as of right now?
So you've probably heard this from a lot of the other core members as well, but our overall hope for making, kind of doing this rebrand and everything is to be able to branch away from not only being known for Dragon Ball and Dokkan slash Legends. If any of you have ever attempted to do YouTube, or maybe you do YouTube, and you've ever wondered, oh, I just want to, do this, totally separate category slash totally separate game. If you're mostly doing gaming or anything, it's basically like starting from scratch. I attempted to do it a little bit back when I originally started YouTube, and it wasn't working out, unfortunately. And at that time, luckily, Dokkan was taking off and a lot of the translations were needed, so I didn't mind doing that. But over the years, I've wanted to do other things, and unfortunately, getting stuck in that name for one thing can, it can get a little boring sometimes. And so you want to try and branch out, and that's my biggest hope with this, is that it's not abandoning what we're known for, but just knowing that, hey guys, there are other things we like to do, aka this is one of them, and really go from there. We've been doing that with like the Among Us streams. We have some plans for some console stuff that will be coming out soon. We're even planning like a Smash Bros stream sometimes, and so a lot of us are really looking forward to that, to again really branch out. And that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that even if you are not a say a console player, or you don't like other games, you only like the mobile scene with Dokkan and Legends, that's totally fine. We hope that you will continue to support us. So
Yeah, no, I completely agree with all of that, man, because again, the YouTube algorithm doesn't really help, variety channels unless you're already like kind of up there. So you guys doing this and kind of bringing all of your influencers into one spot really will help with that, and it's definitely showing. I mean, the growth on the channel has been insane. The last, I think, week and a half that it's been up, or 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think we're at 8,000 subscribers, I believe, or like very, very close to it. So the support has been absolutely amazing. You guys have made this possible. Like we simply made a few things, but you guys are what has made us want to continue and keep pushing forward, and all this amazing, awesome support. So we're glad you guys are enjoying it so far.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. And I guess to answer one of the questions I'm sure fans are wondering, you mentioned Battlefield, you mentioned shooters, Nintendo stuff. Can we see you playing any of those games on the channel in the future?
Oh yes, of course. So in term, obviously things like like either the older Battlefield games or like the later ones, that stuff is mostly going to be, as of right now at least, streamed on our Twitch channel. So all the links down in the description below for that. So definitely expect that. In fact, I think in the next week at the time of this recording, we will, I guess a little, not really spoilers, but a little insight. We will have a really special kind of console focused video coming up with a lot of extra special guests that most of you actually know. They're pretty big, and we hope you look forward to that. That's all I'm going to say, though. I'm not going to spoil anything more, but I hope you guys are excited for that. So
yeah, I've heard some things that it is going to be very exciting. It's definitely going to be very exciting, and I'm sure everyone can't wait for that one. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And we kind of brushed on Dokkan a little bit. So what do you have any? Let me see. Any memories of any scenes or battles in Dragon Ball that just caught your attention so much for you to want to almost make a career out of it, right? Like, is there anything that you could think of it in your childhood or high school years that you saw from Dragon Ball that just made you love the series?
Well, I mean, I think like most of us, I started watching Dragon Ball on Toonami as a kid. But funny enough, I actually started with Z, just at the time that I happened to really start watching TV a lot more. Because this was back in the day where, cable was kind of expensive, and, maybe it was on and off if you wanted it or not. And so I actually started watching, Dragon Ball Z. And then Dragon Ball was re-airing again, and so I went back and obviously rewatched the entire thing. But in terms of like my iconic moment, like I was just like blown away by it, is probably when I guess there are two iconic scenes for me. Number one is the Cell games during the Cell saga. I was blown away by the first the kind of I know it was mostly filler battle with Goku and versus Cell, but I just thought the speed and how they were zooming around and the animation they were doing, everything was really cool. And then obviously Gohan versus Cell, which was definitely stretched a lot more in the anime compared to the manga. And then the second one was probably when I saw my boy Vegito. I know a lot of people in the community are tired of hearing Vegito because you see nothing but Vegitos in the game. But you know what? Back in the day before he was, the popular beast that he is now, I was just blown away. I mean, seeing Goku and Vegeta, do the whole talk where Goku's telling him like our entire family's been eaten and everything. Let's just put aside our differences just this once, and then they fuse. And kind of the OG Dragon Ball where you have like that kind of rock music to it, not the original Japanese score.
The Bruce Faulkner music.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. I just love that
sick,
music.
Dude. It was sick.
Absolutely love that music. And it just works so well with Vegito fusing and everything. I was just like, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that was my era too, man. I loved watching it with his music on, dude. It was just different, bro. It was such a different
it was, especially with the and then I guess the runner up to those two was the third and final scene that kind of caught it for me was Vegeta's final flash against Cell. Like that's just
Yeah, that was a punchy scene, dude. I rewatched it a million times.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was good. I love that one, man. I love that one. Oh, well, you picked 3 fantastic scenes. So, definitely agree with all those, man. Definitely agree with all those. So I have 3 questions for you left. This one, it's more for your small content creators that are just starting from zero, just like how you did it. What advice would you give someone who's, on the fence of starting? They just made their email, they just logged in, but they don't know what to really do. What would some of the advice tips you would give?
So as somebody who obviously, like, I think like any YouTuber, you start off with nothing essentially. Obviously do something that you're passionate about. But I would make a suggestion not to try and focus on the money aspect of everything, because it'll be a while until you actually start making money from YouTube. Because if you're not passionate about it, or your overall goal is just only money and that's it, then it's not going to go the way you think it is. And I would say continue to always try to improve upon the previous video. Even if it's a simple little change as adding in a new transition from one scene to another, or adding in a pop-up that makes it maybe look a little more funny. Or if you want to make it a little bit more serious, add some tones to it or something, and just continue to improve upon yourself as you go on. Not necessarily in the the technology side of things, right? Like, oh, you got to get the latest mic, oh, you got to get the latest monitor or something like that. You really don't need that when starting out. You should always be trying to put your money back into your stream, but starting out, you shouldn't have to worry about that. Make sure you're passionate about it. Show that you're passionate about it. Why should people come and watch you? And what do you have to offer that either very few people have or nobody has? What can you bring to the table?
Very cool, man. And thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, that is extremely solid advice, and I'm definitely gonna be taking that to heart as well, because it's just great, man. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope that helps all the small content creators. I know it'll definitely be helping me out. Like you said, just adding that little extra really goes a long way. Just that little, you could just throw a meme up or put a little track, just something to catch someone's eye, and that changes everything. Just that little bit.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay, and then I have 2 last questions for you. So, you've been living in Japan for a while now. One, how long have you been living in Japan? And the other one was it hard learning Japanese? And I guess to add on to that, was it hard adapting to the Japanese culture?
So to answer the first part of the question, I've lived in Japan now for 6.5 years. So by next summer, it'll be 7 years actually. In terms of when I started learning Japanese, I actually had the opportunity to learn in high school. For anyone who's not from America or from the States, in order for most of us to want to go into a 4-year university, they think to this day still require you to have 2 years of a language, a consistent language. So 2 years of Spanish, German, French, whatever language you take. And I wasn't particularly interested in any of those languages, but I was just going to be like, okay, fine, I'll pick one when I get into high school. But my high school offered Japanese. And so I got to study Japanese for 2 years. And then I had the amazing opportunity to come visit my sister high school that's here in Tokyo. And we came out here for 2 weeks, unfortunately in the summer, which is just blazingly hot. But we were here for 2 weeks. And at that time, I actually got to meet my cousin who lives up north of Japan. And I came back after high school graduation for 2 months and kind of got to do a somewhat pseudo study abroad. I didn't actually get to study abroad in university myself just because of timing and my minor when I was studying more Japanese than my major. It took 5 years, I think, which a lot of people are starting to see that the average person now goes for about 4 to 5 years in university. And then after that, I got a job out here in Japan and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the culture, I think because of my travels when I was in high school / graduated from high school, it wasn't too hard to adjust to it living on my own, like actually living on my own for the first time in terms of the culture side of things. But I did get a little homesick at first, because it was like, oh, I lived in the States my entire life. I've done some trips and everything, a 2-month trip. That's totally fine. And then boom, literally 2 bags on my back, flying across the ocean, living in a country that, I spoke some of the language, but, this is like my first big boy job, essentially. Just graduated college and you're like, oh, this is the real world now.
Yep.
So, but that's basically how it felt. But I'd say after about 2 or 3 weeks at most, it was amazing. And I probably plan on living here for quite a long time. In 3 more years, I can actually get my permanent residency, where I don't have to keep renewing my visa. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. So
awesome, man. You're definitely living a lot of dreams right now. Japan is a beautiful, beautiful place. And I'm sure, you've been there for over 6 years. You've loved it this entire time. And you stay out there for as long as you can. The States aren't the greatest right now. So I think you're definitely in a better spot.
Yeah, but that's it's not to say that Japan is perfect. Absolutely no country is perfect.
Yeah.
But I will say this though, to anyone, and it doesn't have to be just Japan, go out and travel when you get a chance. Obviously, once the pandemic's over and we're not all dying from viruses and everything. But when you get a chance, you don't have to live abroad if you don't want to, but go out and travel, learn about the world, learn about new cultures and everything, and bring that back to your home country and see what you can learn from them and see how we can all improve ourselves. Because, there's definitely a mindset, I think, when we're all young. I had this myself personally, that the country you live in is the best, right? Or it's the only thing you know. And so this is the only way to live, basically. But when you go abroad and you learn about new people and new cultures and everything, you're like, oh, maybe we have some new stuff to learn, or maybe we can incorporate this or kind of mix this together and everything. It really does allow you to connect with the world and just kind of see things through a new perspective, which is, I think, we're always learning every day. And so I highly recommend everyone get the chance when you can, travel abroad, live abroad for however long you want, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, man. I definitely agree. And thank you so much for sharing that. And again, to anyone who gets the opportunity, just do it. Don't be afraid. If you get a good opportunity to go study abroad, just do it, man. What's the most you hate it, you just move back. That's basically all it is, and just enjoy your life. So unfortunately,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. Do you have any final closing comments you'd like to give your viewers?
No, I just want to say again, thank you guys so much for all the awesome support and everything. This last year has definitely been a rocky road with my own personal channel, which I've been trying to push back into now. But I'm super excited for 59 Gaming and where this can go and everything. And then as a side note, I guess I would say if anyone is looking to either kind of learn some Japanese and, kind of what it's like to live in Japan, I have started up a small kind of Japan channel that's actually kind of for anyone who's also looking to start, YouTube. This is kind of the, starting over type of thing I'm talking about, where I have to make a brand new channel to start talking about Japan and everything. I've got a Japanese lesson on there. I've got another one coming up soon with hopefully Goresh actually. And then I've got some videos showing off different parts of Japan. Do you actually really need Japanese to travel in Japan compared to living in Japan and all that stuff? Because I always see people asking about wanting to learn Japanese. So, or if you don't even like my videos, then you can go, obviously YouTube. YouTube has tons of different options and everything, but there are options out there for you to learn Japanese for everyone who's always asking. So.
Awesome. I can't wait to see that one with Goresh. That seems like a pretty exciting one.
Yeah, I think it should be. So.
Awesome. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you again. Just like Tallen said, thank you guys so much for the support on this channel. We're going to go ahead and close it here. Hope you're all staying safe and being healthy. Again, we're living through some crazy times, and I hope you're all safe and healthy, and you guys take care now, and we'll see you guys in the next one.